introduction. So mouse event classes. Next our topic is mouse event classes. Here we will discuss mouse event class and what are the constraints, what are the methods, what are the listener interfaces present in event classes. Later we will discuss corresponding program. Then you can get much clarity about these concepts, mouse event class and key event class. So here we are going to discuss mouse event class. So when mouse event class generated, so generated when mouse is dragged, generated when mouse is dragged, moved, clicked, pressed and released. So we can drag the mouse, we can click the mouse, we can press the mouse, we can release the mouse, we can move the mouse one place to another place. Mouse event generated, mouse event generated. So the mouse enters or exits a component. So it generated when a mouse enters and exits a component. Component means it is a topmost class, it is like a window. So whenever a mouse enters into a component, so we can use particular operations. We can move the mouse, drag the mouse, click the mouse, press the mouse. So here 8 types of mouse event. Mouse event class defines the following integer constants that can be used to identify them. So constants. First one is mouse clicked. First one is, so here constant and what is the meaning of particular constant. First constant is mouse clicked. Whenever we can click on the mouse, whenever we can click on the mouse, whenever user click the mouse, mouse clicked method called and the particular listener interface will be executed. So next one, mouse dragged. Whenever user drag the mouse, mouse event generated. Next one, mouse entered. Whenever user entering into a component, mouse event generated. Next one, mouse exited. So whenever we can exit the mouse, mouse event generated. Next one, mouse moved. Whenever user moves the mouse from one place to another place, we can specify one place to another place, mouse event generated. Next one, whenever user press the mouse, mouse event generated. Once you press the mouse, you can release the mouse. So mouse released. Whenever user release the mouse in a particular component, mouse event generated. Mouse wheel. Whenever we can wheel the mouse in a component area, mouse event generated. So these all are constants in the mouse event class. Next constructor. So in the mouse event class define one constructor. So here let us see. I think you have to know, you might be aware constructor name same as the class name. So here what is our class? Mouse event. Constructor name same as the class name. Mouse event is the class. So here firstly in the first parameter is defined in this mouse event constructor. First parameter is defined by the object source. First parameter is defined by the object source where the sources generated. So here component SRC. So here SRC means reference to the component generated to the event. In the sources, events are generated. So here first parameter in this constructor is source where the events could be generated. Next one, type. Type means what are the types of mouse event class. The types means mouse dragged, moved, exited, released, pressed. So these all are types of related mouse events. Next one, long when. So long when means system type. System time at which the mouse event occurred. So which time user drag the mouse, which time user move the mouse. So it means system time. Long when means system time. Next one, int modifiers. Sometimes we have to use modifiers. So it arguments indicates which modifiers are present when a mouse event is occurred. Sometimes in a window we have to right click on the mouse. So whenever we can right click the mouse, one menu item is displayed like file, open, close, zoom, and so on. So it is like a modifiers. And next one, int x and int y. These all are x and y are coordinates of the mouse. So x and y are coordinates of the window. Next one, click. Click means count. So how many times user click on the mouse, how many times user move the mouse in a particular window. So count. X and Y are coordinates of the mouse. Clicks means click count. So how many times user click on the mouse, drag the mouse, and so on. Next one, triggers pop-up. So it indicates this event causes a pop-up menu to appear on this platform. Sometimes you may right click on the mouse, it will display some menu item. So pop-up menu to appear on this platform. So suppose it is a window. So whenever I am right clicking on the mouse, so it will display some menu, file, open, close, zoom. So whenever user right click on the mouse, a pop-up menu to appear on this platform. It is triggers pop-up. It is triggers pop-up. These all are arguments. These all are parameters to. These all are parameters to mouse event constructor. So these all are parameters to mouse event constructor. A constructor name same as the class name. Constructor name same as the class name. These all are the arguments and parameters of mouse event class. So source type when mouse event is occurred and modified, X and Y coordinates, clicks. So how many times user click on the mouse, move the mouse, and the next one boolean triggers pop-up. Triggers pop-up. Boolean means is it true or false? True or false? Mouse event is the constructor. It is defined in mouse event class. Constructor name same as the class name. These all are the parameters applied as an argument to the mouse event class. Mouse event class. Next, after constructors, just it has some methods, get X and get Y. So sometimes we have to know mouse is moved in which coordinate. Sometimes we have to know mouse is dragged in which coordinates in our window component. So in that situations, these two methods will help us to know our mouse is moved in which coordinate area. So here get X and get Y. So it returns X and Y coordinates of the mouse when the event is occurred. So what is the syntax of defining these two methods? Get X, return type is int. So get Y, return type is int. Sometimes we have to know. So for suppose a mouse is moved in, mouse is dragged some 100 and comma 200. So it is X coordinate. So this 100 is Y coordinate. Sometimes you have to know which coordinates in the window our mouse is dragged and moved. So in those situations, these two methods will help us to know the coordinates of the mouse. Next one, get point. Sometimes we have to know X and Y coordinates in a particular position. So in the same structure, we have to define. So get point method will help us. So use it to obtain the coordinates of the mouse. So it is used to obtain coordinates of the mouse. Sometimes you have to know X and Y coordinates in the same structure. In the same structure, just you have to know X and Y coordinates. X and Y coordinates. So on that situation, get point method will be help us. So here get point method, it is a method. According to the naming rules, if any method contains two words, second word first letter should start with uppercase letter. It returns the point. Returns the point. Next one, translate point. Next one, translates point. So it changes the location of the event. It changes location of the event. Sometimes we want to know. So suppose our current coordinates are 100 to 200. We have to translate. We have to translate throughout the window. So we have to change one place to another place. So we can change the points of coordinates. Translate point method will be useful. So we have the following syntax. Translate point. So you have to know if any method contains two words, second word, first letter. So here P should start with uppercase letter. This method returns void letter. Next one, these have two coordinates. We have to change current X and Y coordinates through some coordinates. So here X and Y are added to the coordinates of the event. Next one, get click count. So it is a method. So here C should start with uppercase, C should start with uppercase letter. Sometimes you have to know how many times user drag the mouse. So this method will help us to know how many times user drag the mouse, move the mouse. This method will help us to find count of particular event. Next one, it have some syntax. So get click count method returns integer type. Sometimes when a mouse is dragged, so it returns sometimes 4 times a mouse is dragged, it returns a 4 integer constant. It returns integer. So these all are constructors and methods defined mouse event class. It have one constructor, it has a number of parameters, and it get X, get Y, point, translate, point, get click count. These all are the methods defined by mouse event class. Next one, mouse listener. So actually you know that in the sources events are generated. Events are generated in the sources. Once events are generated in the sources, it will send it to the corresponding listener interfaces. Listeners are associated with the interfaces. Listeners are associated with interfaces. What is interface? Interfaces are abstract methods. So it contains only method declarations without any body. It is fully unimplemented structure. It contains only method declarations without any body. So as a programmer, as a user, we have to define, we have to provide the implementation of those methods. So in the source, events are generated. Whenever event is generated, it will send it to the listener. Listeners are associated with the interfaces. Listener will control the events, will handle the events. So how listener handle the events? So now listener handles the events. Listener should register with one or more listener interfaces. Listener register with one or more listener, one or more sources, one or more sources. Then only listener can handle the events and can control the events. So here in the sources events are generated. So it will send to the corresponding listener interfaces. When mouse event is generated, which one is responsible for handling the events? Mouse listener. Mouse listener. So mouse events are generated. Whenever you can click on the mouse, drag on the mouse, we can move the mouse, we can press the mouse. Any one of these mouse operations are performed. So mouse event generated. When mouse event is generated, which one is responsible for handling mouse events? Mouse listener. Mouse listener. Listeners are associated with interfaces. It controls the events and it handles the events. So here this interface defines 5 methods. So if the mouse is pressed, and released at the same point. Mouse is once you can press the mouse and you can release the mouse. Next one, mouse clicked. Mouse clicked is invoked. Next one, when the mouse enters a component. When the mouse enters a component, so mouse entered method is called. When it leaves, mouse exited method is called or invoked. Then when the mouse is pressed and mouse is released, methods are invoked when the mouse is pressed and released respectively. It means once you press the mouse, you can release the mouse. These all are the methods defined in mouse listener interface. So what are the methods? What is the syntax for defining methods? So mouse clicked. Mouse clicked. So generally you know that if any method contains 2 words, second word, first letter should start with uppercase letter. Next one, mouse entered. So next one, mouse exited, mouse pressed, mouse released. So those 5 methods return type is void. Those 5 methods return type is void. So here mouse clicked, mouse entered, mouse exited, mouse pressed, mouse released. These all methods are related to mouse event. These all methods are related to mouse event. Here mouse event is a class. Mouse event is a class. This class is applied as argument to these 5 methods. Mouse event is a class. This class is applied as argument to these 5 methods. These 5 methods. Here ME is reference. ME is reference of mouse event. ME is reference of mouse event. Yes, in the similar way, mouse motion listener. So mouse motion listener defines 2 methods: mouse dragged and mouse moved. These 2 methods are related to mouse motion listener. Mouse motion listener. Mouse motion class, whenever mouse dragged and mouse moved, mouse motion class is generated. So whenever event is generated, it will send to the corresponding listener interfaces. Mouse motion listener. Mouse motion listener. So it defines 2 methods when mouse is dragged on the component. So when mouse dragged method is called multiple times as the mouse is dragged, it can drag the mouse. So when mouse moved method is called multiple times as the mouse is moved. So we can move the mouse one place to another place. Mouse moved method is called. So it defines 2 methods: mouse dragged and mouse moved. These 2 methods return type is void. So here mouse event is the class. Mouse event is the class. This class is applied as argument to these 2 methods: mouse dragged and mouse moved. Here ME is the reference variable. Here ME is the reference variable. Yes. Now we will see the program. Here let me explain a small program here. Then you can get much clarity about mouse events concept. So what is the template of writing a program? So actually what is the template of writing a program, developing a program? First we have to import the packages. First we have to import the packages. Next, in the mouse, where events are generated in a component area. So where mouse events are generated in the component. So component means it is a window. So whenever you want to display a particular window, GUI based applications, we can use applets. So applet code is mentioned in the applet code is mentioned in comment lines. Next, class implements class extends applet, and we can implement two interfaces, mouse listener and mouse motion listener. Mouse event related, whenever mouse events are generated, mouse listener and mouse motion listener, these two are related interfaces. These two are responsible for handling mouse events. We can implement mouse listener and mouse motion listener interfaces. Next, we have to write init method. After init method, we have to define methods. Define methods means we have to implement body of those 7 methods. So in our program. So let us see one by one. Here I will explain. So first of all, importing packages. So here I am importing import java.applet.star. Import java.applet.star. So here applet is a package. So star means all classes. In our program, what are the classes present in applet package? Those all classes available in our current program. So suppose if you want to develop any applet based applications, required package is applet. So in applet package contains number of classes and methods. If it is required to develop applet based applications. So next one, import java.awt.event. So here AWT is the main package. Next one, event is the sub package of AWT package. Star means all classes. What are the classes present in event package? Those all classes would be loaded in our current program memory. Next, in a similar way, we have to import java.awt.star. AWT in all GUI components like button, checkbox, those all classes present in which package? AWT package. AWT means abstract window toolkit. In the next classes, I will explain what is AWT. So here import java.awt.star. AWT is a package. It is one of the largest packages in Java. So here awt.star. Star means all classes. What are the classes? What are the interfaces? What are the methods present in AWT package? Those all classes will be loaded in our current program. Next one. So we have to write a applet code. It is mentioned in the comment lines. Open a comment and close the comments. So we have to set applet height and width. So we have to set applet height and width. So we have to implement applet in two ways, by using HTML code and by using applet viewer tool. So whenever we can implement applet in applet viewer tool, so we have to define, we have to mention applet code. So here, so these less than and greater than is HTML tags. So our HTML code is mentioned within these tags. HTML means collection of tags. It is hypertext markup language. Our applet code equal to mouse demo. So our applet code is embedded in our program. So we can't write a separate program. So here applet by implementing applet viewer tool. So here our applet program is implementing in applet viewer tool. So we can embedding these applet code is in our program, either beginning or ending of the program, anywhere we have to write. But we can mentioning within the comments. So mouse demo, some width equal to 300, height equal to 300. So next we have to close the applet tag. So here we can use backward slash less than backward slash applet, and next we can close the comment. So it is mentioned in the comments. In order to mention the comments, also it specifies some height and width of applet. Next one. Our class is a public access specifier. Public means everywhere can easily access. It is the widest scope among all other modifiers. So here public class. What is our class name? Mouse demo. What is our class name? Mouse demo. Extends applet. So whenever we can using applets, whenever we can implementing applets, our class is the subclass of applet class. Then only what are the default behaviors applicable in applet class? Those all would applicable in our current program, in our mouse demo class. So next one, it implements mouse listener it implements mouse listener and mouse motion listener. These two are interfaces. Just now our program is write a program to demonstrate mouse events. Mouse event is occurred. Two interfaces are responsible for handling the mouse events. What they are? Mouse listener and mouse motion listener. These two are interfaces. Here our class extends applet class and implements two interfaces. So class extends only one class, but it implements multiple interfaces simultaneously. Already I told you in inheritance concept. I think you might be aware of these statement. Class extends applet and implements multiple interfaces, mouse listener and mouse motion listener. Why I am implementing these two interfaces? Our aim is we have to determine mouse events. Whenever mouse event is generated, which one is the responsible for handling mouse events? So there are two listener interfaces, mouse listener and mouse motion listener. So here observe, whenever JVM finds the implements keyword, whenever JVM or Java compiler finds the implements keyword, it will check whether the user providing the body of corresponding methods or not. Otherwise, at the time of compilation, it leads an error. Our program could not compile successfully. So, as a programmer, as a user, we have to implement a mouse clicked method body, moved method body, dragged method body. So, we have to implement. We have to provide. So, here, after writing this statement, So here, after writing this statement, initially, so to take two coordinates, x and y coordinate. By default, x equal to 0, y equal to 0. These two are coordinates of the window. So next one, just I am writing one message, string MSC is equal to mouse events. So our program is mouse events. So whenever JVM finds the double quotes, it blindly creates object of a string class. Next continuation program. So public void init. Init is a method. It is the applet lifecycle method. Applet starts its execution from init method. In applets, we do not write main method. Applets don't require main method. Applets starts its execution from init method. So here public void init and mouse motion listener. So in the init method, we have to register interfaces. Listener interfaces. So what is the syntax for registering listener interfaces? Add type of the listener. A type of listener is mouse listener. Whenever mouse event is generated, in the sources mouse events are generated. Whenever mouse event is generated, it will send to the corresponding listener interfaces. What they are? Mouse listener and mouse motion listener. Within the init method, we have to register those interfaces. So add mouse listener, this, add mouse motion listener, this. So in the init method, everything we have set within the init method. We have to set colors, fonts, images. So everything we have set within the init method. Because the applet starts its execution from init method in the applet program. So we do not write main method. Applets don't require main method. We need not write main method in the applet programs. Applet starts its execution from which method? Init method. Init is the applet lifecycle method. So what is the syntax for defining init method? Public void init. Init is a method. So everything we have set within the init method. Applet starts its execution from init method. In the applets we need not write main method because applets don't require main method. So here within the init method we have to register listener interfaces and we have to set background, set foreground color. Background and foreground, these two are methods. We have to set background color of the window and foreground color of the window. Color is the class. This class is applied as argument to the background event method. So that's why color is the class. This class also applied to the foreground method. So color is the class. This class have number of attributes, blue, white, and so on. Next one. So we have to close init method body. So first one is whenever applet entering into the component. Mouse entered method will be called. Mouse entered method will be invoked. So here public void mouse entered. Mouse entered is a method. If any method contains two words, second word, first letter should start with uppercase letter. So here mouse event is a class. This class is applied as argument to the mouse entered method. So he is the reference. So after mouse is entering into the component, we have to set background color. Set background color dot yellow. So next one, show status method. This status visible in the test one. So status method will be helpful. It is visible which one. So which method will be invoked in the test 1? So it is visible in the test 1. Next we can call the repaint method. So we can call the repaint method. Repaint is the method. After paint we can call the repaint method. Next one, public void mouse clicked. In the same procedure, in the same things we have to write in the mouse clicked method body also. So we have to follow same procedure. So after mouse is clicked into the component, we have to change background color. Next one, this method show status method is visible in the test bar. So when current method will be invoked in the test bar. So next one, mouse exited. Whenever mouse exited in the component, after this we can change the background color. So follow the same procedure here also. It is show status. So mouse exited. So the status will be visible in the test bar. Next we can call the repaint method. We can call the repaint method. Next one, public void mouse present. So mouse present is the method. Mouse event is the class. This class is applied as argument to the mouse event method. After mouse is present in the component area, we have to change background color. So set background color will be helpful to change the background color of the component. Color is the parameter. It is argument is applied to the background method. So next one, color dot pink. Next one, show status. This method is visible in the test bar. So mouse present. Next we can call the repaint method. Next we can follow the same procedure in all methods. Public void mouse released. Public void mouse released. It is a method. Here mouse event is a class. This class is applied as an argument to the mouse released method. ME is the reference variable. ME is the reference variable. So here x equal to MU dot getx, MU dot getY. Getx and getY, these two are methods. Getx and getY, these two are methods. Sometimes you have to know what is the x coordinate, y coordinate. Where mouse will be released in the window, some x coordinate and y coordinate. Sometimes you have to know. So with the help of these object reference, I am calling getx and getY method. So these x and y are coordinates of the window. So next one, show status. It is visible on the test bar. So mouse is present. So it is visible on the test bar. It is test bar. So it will be visible. So mouse present. Next we can call the repaint method. Next one, public void mouse dragged. Follow same procedure here also. Next one, mouse moved, and follow the same procedure here also. We can follow same things here also. So sometimes here x and y are coordinates of the mouse. So get x and get y methods will be helpful to know the coordinates of the mouse. Where in a window where mouse is moved in a particular window, so we can move one place to another place. So for suppose we can specify a mouse position here. What is the x coordinate and y coordinates of the mouse? Suppose we can move mouse here. What is the x coordinate and y coordinates of the mouse? Next one, it is visible. Currently mouse is here. So in the test bar. So it is the test bar in the window. So it will be visible. Current mouse is it will display current mouse is some x coordinate and y coordinate. Let's call the repaint method. So we can close method body. So these all are the methods. Whenever our class implements mouse listener and mouse motion listener, what are the methods available in mouse listener and mouse motion listener? As a user, as a programmer, we have the responsibility to provide all the methods implementation here only. Next one, paint method. So the paint is an applet lifecycle method. It is not part of the applet lifecycle, but it plays very important role in the applet. Suppose whenever you want to display some graphics on the console, paint method will be invoked. So here graphics is a class. The class is applied as an argument to the paint method. So G is the reference. Graphics class provides number of methods. So graphics class provides number of methods. With the help of these object reference, we can accessing those methods. What are the methods present in graphics class? So here paint method. Whenever we want to display some output on the console, whenever we want to display some graphics on the console, paint method will be useful. Paint method will be invoked. So it have one class. Graphics is a class. The class is applied as argument to the graphics class. So graphics class number of methods: draw, string, fill rectangle, draw oval, fill oval. These all are the methods. These all methods present in graphics class. Here I am using draw string method. Draw string is a method. That method is present in which class? Graphics class. With the help of these object reference, I am calling draw string method G dot draw string. So handling mouse events, some 30, 20. So x coordinate and y coordinate. Some draw string method have three parameters. First one is string, the second one x coordinate and y coordinate. So here G dot drawstring message comma xy, message comma xy. Message means mouse events. Message means mouse event. Sometimes, suppose if you compile and run this program. Suppose if you compile and run this program. So here I am compiling this program. Java C space mouse demo.java. Java C space mouse demo.java. Suppose if you compiling and run this program. So how to run this program? By using applet viewer tool. So we can implementing applet in applet viewer tool. So at the runtime we can specify applet viewer space Java space mouse demo. Java space mouse demo. If you compile and run this program, it will display in one window. So window means some title bar. So it is minimize, maximize and close. Minimize and maximize and close. It is applet viewer. So we can implementing our applet in applet viewer tool. Suppose in this component, component mouse is moved. So it is a test bar. This is a test bar. The test bar show status method is visible in the test bar. Suppose a mouse is clicked. In the test bar it will visible mouse clicked. Suppose if you specifying a position, so where mouse is clicked, some x coordinate and y coordinate, 100, 200. So 100 is the x coordinate, 200 is the y coordinate. Suppose where mouse is released, mouse is pressed. So in the source status it will be changed to mouse pressed. So where it will move in the component area. So it will return some x coordinate and y coordinate. Get x and get y, these two are methods. We want to know, sometimes we want to know where the mouse is moved, some x coordinate and y coordinate. So here coordinate starts from 0, 0. So it is some x coordinate and y coordinate. Next one 0, 10. So 0, 10. Next one something it is 100, 100. These all are coordinates of the window. So in the beginning of the program, so we can enclosing applet code in the comment lines. So instead of writing applet code in the comment lines, so applet height and width is setting. Applet height and width is displaying. It will set applet height and width. Height and width, these two are attributes of applet tag. These two are attributes of applet tag. Already in the last class we have seen applets briefly. I think you have clear about these concepts. Now